Do you want to grow your food, and not having enough land is stopping you? Or do you only have that tiny space in your house that seems insignificant? Why don't you try container gardening? This can be rewarding when done the right way, and you can be surprised at the outcome. The best part, it does not make the house space look clumsy and unkempt. Container boxes, broken kitchen plastics, sacks, and used rubber bottles can all be used as growth mediums. But not all plants' roots are the same. Some plants' roots grow long, and without proper depth, they may not produce to their optimum. Because of that, some plants will need larger, wider, shallow, or narrow containers. So if you are wondering what crops you can grow in containers so you can garden no matter where you live, here are my 15 crops you can grow comfortably in containers. Most adults start their container gardening with 2 or 3 large planter boxes in their backyard or the deck of their townhouse. The common narrative is that you have to own your land or live in the country to grow your food, but container gardening is proving that narrative wrong. You can grow food crops in containers or pots just as easily as in drinking water. But first of all, what is container gardening? It's exactly what it is. This gardening takes place entirely in containers or pots. Some large or small containers are filled with garden soil, and seeds are planted or transplanted in it. The seeds are watered and fed until it starts fruiting. Now let's get to what you can grow in pots. This is not the only crop on the list. There are other crops you can grow in containers, but the list of 15 food crops are the most popular and can be grown easily in containers. Lettuce. This is one of the simple and popular crops grown in containers from seed, and it doesn't need a lot of space to thrive. You can grow lettuce in long, circular, and window box-like planters very easily. Spinach. Another popular crop that can be grown in containers is spinach. This plant can be grown all year long in many places. It can also be grown in long, window box-like planters. Kale. Another great green, leafy, cruciferous vegetable that is rich in nutrients. This superfood, rich in fiber and antioxidants, can be grown easily in containers. Just a handful of kale plants can feed you and your family all season long. Radishes. Grown for its large succulent taproot, radish is a fast-maturing root crop. They are small plants with a root system that makes planting in pots easy. They don't need much space at all, which makes planter boxes and small containers suitable for its growth. Carrots. Carrots are root vegetables that need taller containers due to their larger roots, yet they can still be grown in containers with tremendous yield. Though typically orange, other varieties have different colors. Also, there are smaller round varieties that are small that grow perfectly well in shallow containers. Onions. This root crop can be easily grown in containers from either seed or smaller sets grown in a nursery pot. Window boxes and rubber bottles are excellent growth mediums. It can be grown alongside other crops without causing any problems that help in getting rid of pests. Tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of the high-yielding and favorite crops to grow in the garden. This simply means you don't need a huge yard to grow it. Tomatoes grow well in containers and pots. A handful of tomato stands can be sufficient for the entire summer, and some can be preserved for future use. For good yield, a larger pot can be used that can accommodate one plant. The support system that will stake the tomatoes will be needed in order to reproduce optimally. Peppers. Just like tomatoes, pepper is super easy to grow in containers. To grow properly and improve yield, peppers need sun and heat daily. Ensure you set at a sunny spot. Like tomatoes, one plant per large pot is the best way to grow peppers in pots. Lemongrass. This tall and stocky plant can grow all year round once planted, making it one of the easiest crops to grow in containers. Once planted in a pot or container, with consistent watering, it keeps growing even when it has been pruned and used. Oregano leaves. Oregano has olive green leaves and is one of the must-have herbs you should have in your garden, making it one of the easy crops to grow in containers and pots. Even though this herb requires 80 to 90 days to reach maturity, leaves can be harvested in as little as 6 to 8 weeks. Cucumber. Never thought it will work until I tried it. You wouldn't think that you can grow cucumbers in a container, but you can. But you may need a bigger container for it to grow perfectly well. Cucumber produces long vines, that's why it is good to give them a trellis to climb up. This protects the fruits from pest attacks. Perennial herbs. Grow perennial herbs once and you will never get rid of them from the garden. They grow great in both containers or pots, but for the sake of moving them to other sections of the garden, growing them in pots is a great option. Examples of herbs you can grow in pots with ease without taking up space are lavender, rosemary, thyme, sage, mint, curry leaves, scent leaves, broccoli. Broccoli is an edible green with a large flowering head, stalk, and small leaves. For broccoli to thrive and grow normally in cool weather conditions and can be planted in your pots. Broccoli can grow quite large than most vegetables and is a heavy feeder, so one plant per container is all you need. Strawberries. Strawberry plants require 6 to 10 hours a day of direct sunlight to produce maximum fruits. So choose your planting site accordingly. That is why planting pots make it easy to move it to where it can get adequate sunlight. Strawberries are self-fertile, but require bees for pollination. Zucchini. Zucchini is a summer squash that can produce more food than you can imagine within 45 to 55 days after planting. The plants require full sun, at least 6 to 8 hours a day, and require high organic matter. When the condition for growth is suitable, it can get quite bushy and continues to grow, so you may want to try to stake the plant a little bit to keep it stable. Because zucchini requires full sun, that makes planting it in the pot is the best option since that can give the ability to move it around. One seed is all that's needed in a large pot. Other crops worth mentioning that grow well in pots or containers are potatoes, sweet potatoes, beans, peas, and basil. Types of containers to use. Now that we know the type of plants that can be grown in containers, it's better to know the type of containers or pot one should use. There are many options out there, such as gallon buckets, fabric grow bags, wooden half barrels, terracotta pots, plastic containers, wooden window boxes. The size you will need will depend on the type of plant you intend to grow. A wider 3 to 5 gallons container will be suitable for growing mint leaves, beans, peas, and other herbs. Bigger buckets 5 gallons and more are great for crops with longer root systems. Examples include squash, pepper, tomatoes, and potatoes. While shallow containers like plastic containers are great for onions, garlic, and some other greens. As you can see, growing your food is not as complicated as you think. That container you think is not useful anymore can be reused as a growth medium in that little space you have been thinking of what to do with it. You can do it, and can start your container gardening today. What other crops did we miss? Please let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you love this resource, be sure to like, share and subscribe to our channel.